What's up YouTube? It's your boy Senekill back in the shop, and today's video is going to be the first part of a series of videos I'm going to try to make to possibly help out anyone who wants to start out their own little home fabrication shop. This first video though is going to be directed at some of the safety equipment you should look into getting if you plan on getting into fabrication. Alright, first things first is safety glasses. You definitely need a pair of safety glasses. Get yourself something that is comfortable. The more comfortable it is, the more apt you are to wear it. So like I said, definitely get something that's comfortable. I personally use the Jackson Nemesis safety glasses. They're very comfortable and very durable. I've had this same pair for probably 4 months and they're holding up great. But you don't have to get these, but definitely get yourself a good pair of safety glasses and make sure they have a good bit of side protection as well. If you wear prescription glasses, either one, get yourself some side shields, or two, get yourself some prescription safety glasses. But yeah, you definitely got to have your eye protection. The next thing is another form of eye protection, but these may not be very necessary right out the gate. But if you plan on getting yourself a plasma cutter or a cutting torch, you should definitely look into getting one of these, especially if you have sensitive eyes. I have sensitive eyes, so I can't really substitute these cutting glasses with dark safety glasses. If I use dark safety glasses while I'm cutting with a torch or a plasma cutter, I'll end up seeing purple spots afterwards. So I definitely have to use some cutting glasses or goggles. Like I said, you could either get, these are just a pair of dark cutting glasses. They have a darker lens than what's found in dark safety glasses, and they have the side shields, as you can see. But yeah, you could get you those, or alternatively you could get a pair of old school looking cutting goggles. These have a little bit of extra protection, but they're a little bit more uncomfortable. But like I said, they have the added protection. Right here you can see that it would seal around your eyes, so you won't have sparks flying down into your eyes as you would with a pair of glasses. Next thing is gloves, and I'm going to start out with the gloves that you shouldn't get. You do not need to be wearing mechanics gloves in a fabrication environment. I mean, if you're going to carry material, maybe you just bought some steel, you're going to carry it and put it in your truck or whatever, they're suitable for that, they're great for that, but they have no place if you're actually making anything out of metal. Mechanics gloves do not hold up very well to heat or heavy sparks. They don't last, they melt very easily. So I don't advise wearing these. But you should definitely have yourself a pair of good cowhide or deer hide. There's all kinds of different ones out there, but a good pair of leather work gloves. This pair, I believe, came from Walmart. They're the Wells Lamont brand, but there's all kinds of different brands out there. These ones are insulated, and I actually use these for MIG welding. I'm not telling you that you should use them for MIG welding though. What you should be using for welding is an actual pair of welding gloves. Alright, but you have kind of two options here. You could go to the cheap route, and the cheap route tends to give you a pair of gloves that are the bare minimum. They will definitely protect you from some of the heat and all that, but they're not very comfortable. They're very rigid, very clunky, very stiff. So yeah, that's what you get. Sometimes you can find a pair of really cheap ones that are comfortable, but yeah, if you want something that's a little better, you could get a pair of thicker, nicer gloves. These are Hobart gloves. I got them at, I believe, Rural King, but the cuff is a lot thicker, probably 3 times the thickness of the budget glove, and also in the glove part, it is probably 2 to 3 times the thickness of the budget gloves. But even though they are a lot thicker, they're a lot more comfortable, they're a lot more flexible, and you can actually feel what you're doing with these ones. There's several different types and brands of these. You don't have to get Hobart. These are just what I have. There's all kinds of different brands out there, like I said. So yeah, definitely get you something that's comfortable if you can afford it. But if not, the budget option still works. But you definitely need both the leather gloves for like working, whether you're grinding or whatever. You need a pair of those, and you definitely need a pair of long gauntlet gloves. Next thing is like your arm and torso protection. You have all kinds of options out there, but I would recommend getting yourself a actual full welding jacket. As you can see, this is a cotton welding jacket. It's fire retardant, but now keep in mind, flame retardant does not mean it will not burn. Sparks will still burn right through it. It just means that you will not catch on fire and be doing the stop, drop, and roll routine. So that's one thing you need to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that you definitely need to get the proper size jacket. Don't get a jacket too big anticipating it to shrink in the wash. Alright, you definitely want to get a proper fitting jacket, and the reason for that is if you get a jacket that is too big, the sleeves tend to be a little too long for you, and thus you'll be pushing them up, causing a lot more wrinkly places in the sleeve. And as you're welding, those wrinkly places can be a nice cubby hole for sparks to collect and thus burn a hole in your jacket. So that's one reason. Another reason is if you're grinding or cleaning something up with a wire wheel, if you're looking like maybe leaning in a little too much and you have a jacket that is too big, that jacket can come loose from your body and come in contact with the wire wheel, and that wire wheel will entangle the jacket and end up running up your torso. So you definitely want to protect yourself from things like that happening. Like I said, get yourself a good fitting jacket. An alternative, well, not really an alternative, that was the wrong word, but another option that's out there is your welding sleeves. Do not get these as a substitute for a jacket. These definitely have a place. If say it's 110 degrees outside and you're welding, maybe you're just doing some artwork or you're just tacking up a piece, you can just slap these on really quick. You won't be getting hot. You can just slap them on and do what you need to do, then take them off. But do not get them as a substitute for a jacket. There's a lot of sparks involved with different processes of welding, and your shirts your little t-shirts and stuff are not designed to hold up to all the flame and heat and all that from welding and grinding and things like that. They don't hold up very well to sparks. So yeah, definitely get yourself a jacket. Next thing is respirators. And the reason you may want to consider getting a respirator is welding produces a smoke that contains cancer-causing carcinogens. So that being said, you may want to think about getting a respirator. I personally do not wear one. I understand the dangers of not wearing one and have made an educated choice not to wear them. But with all of that being said, you have a couple options out there. I would not advise using a dust mask. Like it says in the name, it is for dust. But dust and like wood chips, you'd use those if like you're cutting wood. But I wouldn't use them in substitute for a respirator. They do have the dust mask type respirators. They just look like a dust mask, and they have a little box that sits in front of your mouth, and that's a little filtration system. Alternatively, you could get yourself this type respirator. It's just got the removable cartridges. You got a couple different options as far as cartridges go. These right here are the chemical type cartridge, and this right here is the dust particulate cartridge. But this type right here, as you can see, the gray material, I can't tell you what it's made out of. I can't really remember, but what I do know is after a while of wearing it, they become very uncomfortable. Around where it seals up can kind of start to hurt a little bit, and like I said, it's very uncomfortable. An alternative to that is the silicone type respirators. Now, while they are a little bit more pricey, they are a little, in my mind, they are worth it. Like I said, they are very soft, and they do not get aggravating and irritating. One thing you definitely need to take into account when getting yourself a respirator is the size. You need to get yourself the right size respirator. The way you check that is you put it on, you put this strap over your head as if you're putting it on, and you also put the lower strap on. It goes around your upper neck, and you put it on, you cinch it down, get it snug, and then cover up the holes. As you can see, there's little holes right there. Those are where the cartridges attach. You cover up the hole, and then you inhale. If when you inhale, the respirator kind of does like a suction effect on your face, then that is a proper fitting respirator. If around the edges where it's supposed to seal, you feel air seeping in, then it's not a proper fitting respirator and you need to get a different size. So definitely keep all that in mind. And the last thing is a welding hood. You definitely need to get a welding hood, and there is all kinds of options out there. To narrow it down a little bit for you, you could, if you're on a budget and you maybe you've never welded before and you're not 100% sure, you want to continue, so you just want to test the waters, you may just want to get yourself a cheap fixed shade hood. Fixed shade hoods can be aggravating as they just stay dark at all times. You have to lift the hood up and then find your spot, then drop the hood and then start welding. They can be aggravating in that sense, but one thing, you'll never be flashed by one, and another thing, they're fairly cheap. So like this hood, for instance, I think was about $30, and that came with a pair of gloves, a do-rag, and an extra set of lenses. But so yeah, it's definitely a good option, especially if you're new and you just want to test the waters, and maybe if you're on a budget. The next couple options is your auto darkening hoods. This is the more expensive route. This is kind of on the cheaper side. This is in the realm of the $100 to $150 range. I think this hood specifically was around like maybe $130, but this hood has 4 sensors and it does not work. I can't really give you a good review on it because I only got to use this hood for maybe a month or 2, and then the cartridge failed. It's got a year warranty, so I'm not going to give it a bad review or anything like that and say you shouldn't get this brand. This is the Shop Iron brand, but I just can't say right now. I haven't used it enough, and I mean, failures can happen with anything, so I'm not going to say it's a horrible hood. I do know that whenever I was using it, it had excellent optical clarity, and like I said, it's got 4 sensors, and that's pretty decent, especially in the $100 price range. So yeah, this one is the more expensive option. Both of these also have grind mode. That's just an option to where you can kind of use your welding hood as a face shield. It just won't darken while you're grinding, and it's just a little extra protection measure and makes it a little bit easier to use. Well, nicer to use. That way you don't have to take this off and put on a face shield or what have you. But yeah, there's plenty of options out there as far as picking up a welding hood. I actually did a review on this Lincoln hood here recently, so if you want, you can go check that out. But yeah, this is a little bit on the pricier side, has a little few extra options on it, has some nicer headgear, but like I said, there's all kinds of options. You definitely need to get yourself a welding hood though. So with all that being said, I'm going to run over things really quick again, just to make sure you know what you definitely need to have. I'm only going to go over real quick what you absolutely need to have. There's a couple things here that you didn't necessarily need, but it's a good option. So here we go. Safety glasses. You definitely got to have safety glasses, a good pair of leather working gloves, a pair of long cuff welding gloves, a welding hood, and a welding jacket. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in part 2. Peace.